And that's a double-edged sword, right? Because see, unfortunately, if you look at it, today there's a commission structure that you can give, right? Beyond, let's say, your sitting fees and let's say the committee fees that are there for your, board and committee fees that are there. But how do you rate the right balance there? Are you going overboard in terms of commission that tomorrow they can get financially lured and lose their independence? Okay, will they be independent during the entire term, tenure of the, the tenure that they are appointed for? Now, these are things that we need to look at, right? And last but not the least, maybe two things I would say is one is, how quickly can they understand the business? Now, you may not get everybody who is part of that same business, and it's perfectly fine. You don't have to be an expert in that business, but you at least need to have enough information. And that's again a investment that an independent director has to do. But obviously, again, when you are talking at it from a company's point of view, when you hire an, let's say, an independent director, how do you forecast or how do you estimate that this independent director will be able to understand your business and give the value, add value in the board meetings and the committee meetings, etc.? Right? Because that is something, of course, from a governance standpoint, there is this, training that has to be done annually for independent directors. Now, some of those things are taken care of from the regulatory perspective. But that's an annual ritual that is there. All of us do attend a lot of trainings and other things. But are we taking the learning from it, and how do we learn from it and add value back to the organization? Now, this is something which is there. The last thing which I want to basically, of course, two more things if you want. One thing is around regulatory and compliance issues. So does the independent director understand what is relevant? Now, which compliance laws are relevant to that industry? Now, in India, you have SEBI, you have RBI, you have IRDAI, you have so many bodies which are there. Which are more relevant, which is there, and how do you ensure that your directors understand some of these things? Again, they don't need to be experts, because there is a protection to say that you are protected by whatever happens as the board process. Now, that is a basic compliance level. But if you really need to ensure that you want to add value to the business that you're on the board of, you really need to understand some of these things. And last but not the least is obviously also the entire thing of retention and board size, right? What size is right? Mr. Santoshji said about it, right? There is something that is statutory, but how do you determine what is the right size of the board? You can always have more number of board members, whether you want to have more number of independent directors, whether you need more number, or you just want to comply with whatever is minimum there. Now, that is also a decision that a company needs to take in the overall interest of the organization. Now, these are some of the few things that, from a company's point of view, and of course, I also looked at it from how an independent director needs to also look at it, so that eventually it's a win-win situation for the company as well as the independent director.
Yes, thank you, sir. And there could be one can also say, company also might get surprises once an independent director on boards. Maybe what you have said, it's totally opposite of what the company see in him or her. Thank you so much for the insight. And my next question is for Ms. Rama. It's regarding how the performance of an independent director is evaluated. And a follow-up question is related to this only. How can a company ensure to enhance the effectiveness of independent director?
See, as Santoshji explained, the tenure is two consecutive, and generally, unless until your performance is very bad, as you said, you could not get into the board well, board dynamics has been bad, or you are not able to contribute time, you couldn't spend time with the board for whatever they expected. Those are the things which will definitely hamper your reappointment. But generally, if you are able to contribute well into the board and people have been performing, so the two tenures has generally been guaranteed, in the sense if your performance has been to the mark. After the cooling period, how many people have come in is what we need to see. So generally, whatever was the qualification, we said if those qualifications are in the upper quadrangle, then automatically you come for the reappointment. And that is unless and until, if it's a statutory requirement, a known devil is better than an unknown angel, so they will continue. But if you are able to contribute far better than what is the board expected, it goes but naturally to explain that the appointment is continued. And if there is after the cooling period also, possibly they could come back to you. But having said your second part of the question, can you just, ma'am, repeat your second part of the question once again? You talked about best practices, right? That
yes.
you're talking about the best practices.
Yes.
If you took the best practices, what the management could do to their board members, are you able to prepare your first is what is your board dynamics? Are you giving first and foremost the requirement for an independent director is you have your board paper in time. The board paper is not pushing you in a mountain of data. You are able to get the information. One of the in my audit committee meeting, one of the members said very clearly, you accountants are very, very intelligent. You drain us in the data and do not give information to the, I'm an internal auditor, so it was not meant to me. But what you could read is the information has to go, not the data. And that's what precisely we tell our MBAs, please give them information so that the relevant, the abstract is, or, the concise points are given. What I could spend hours and hours in getting in the data, if you are able to give it to me in, 20 minutes read or 10 minutes read, the board pack information has to be effective so that, they are prepared well and they come for the discussion table and they are able to discuss and able to take different perspective and decide how to go with a particular thing. So, if you're having very, you're strong in your information, you are able to contribute, the time very well in the board discussion. And it is just not the information. Many a times, it's like your family. You may give 100 advices. How many of is been taken? How many of is been thrown? But if the good ones have been picked up, so you should not get offended that everything I have said, nobody has taken my decision into consideration. If you are able to give something which is better and they have acted on it, then that becomes the effectiveness. The independent director comes with far more charge for the next board meeting. But having said that, just because my idea has been said no, doesn't mean that, they might have so many reasons, it is a mix of so many factors. So this may not have worked well for the organization. So you cannot take it as either my way or a highway. Both the parties should understand. So that is one thing which could bring effectiveness so that, if the independent directors is their opinions or their contribution is taken in the right fashion and you get into that. In one more scenario, how much the board is able to give the independent director to take a professional opinion on a particular thing and come back. In the sense, I do not understand certain things. I'm not talking about, unpublished price sensitive information. Otherwise, where I could get an, a further expertise on that, if I'm able to get the professional advice, how much the board is going to willing me to give me to get the professional advice and come back to you to the board discussion. That is another thing which could add to the, the entire discussion table. How, as Muralidharan sir said, what kind of trainings have been given? Is it the mandatory training given just for the sake of putting a tick mark on the checklist? Or is it really given to equip the directors to understand your business, understand the industry and see the future trends in the industry? So that is when if you have these information or these kind of inputs from the organization, the person sitting in the board as an independent director would also be able to contribute far more effectively. It is like, I have a knowledge, but I'm not using it, then it is of no sense. So I should get an opportunity to use what I have. These are the things wherein you can increase the effectiveness. That's what I feel.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rama. There are lots of questions in the chat, and we have participants who have raised the hand as waiting for the questions, answers to be given. So should I invite questions and answers? Should I open the forum for question and answer? Yeah.
Sure. I think let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Vijay Kumar.
Ma'am, good evening. My name is Colonel KP Vijay Kumar.
I'm sorry.
Okay, now.
Yes, yes, please.
I have 31 years of experience, service in operation, strategic human resources, leadership, risk management, as Murali sir has said, in VUCA environment and conflict zone. Okay, we are the working with it's in our blood that we work in VUCA environment and conflict zone. Okay. Now my question to Santosh sir is that, do you think we have a start as far as we being considered as a military veteran in the board to be selected as an ID? My first question.
Mhm.
Okay. Now my second question to Murli sir. We have spoken everything hunky dory, of the ID, and everything is good. What is the risk and liability we carry as the ID? Okay, sir. My third question. Okay, now as on today, the IT industry, that is sustainability IT industry, is just 5% of carbon footprint. Okay, now by the year 2040, it is going to increase to 21%. Expected increase, the carbon footprint of IT. Okay, now what as a independent directors we should be looking at to develop our knowledge about IT sustainability issues? That's my three questions, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful questions.
So can I
Over to
answer
you,
the question?
Santosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. If I understood the question correctly, so you mean to say if whether the armed forces, people from the armed forces can enter the ID, board?
Yes. Yes.
Right. There are many instances where people from the armed forces are in the board. Because see, the board, there are a lot of people required, from different expertise. The people, generally it is considered that people from CA background or CAs are there, but people from technical background, people from admin background, everybody is required. And what I feel is there should be